Beware, mortals. You're entering the eerie depths of Chokeslam Radio, where expert insider WWE knowledge and secrets are unleashed with thunderous power.
Rest in peace.
Coming to you live straight from the heart of Death Valley, here are your mysterious hosts, DRW15 and DJ Big Unknown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chokeslam Radio. We're having technical difficulties today, which is a little concerning compared to, since there's also technical difficulties due to a certain hacker group that we thought we might have encountered last week. So were you able to see the intro DRW15?
I watched it. Yeah, I saw the intro. I'm not really sure what's going on, but
weird.
I saw it okay.
That's strange because I wasn't able to see it on my end, and now, I don't know if we're streaming on Instagram today. I can't get it to work, so I had it all set up, and now it's not working. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, we're not getting attacked by any type of malicious group right now.
Yeah, I have heard that the Pat McAfee show has been attacked quite a few times recently, so we're worried here on Chokeslam Radio because we know that we're next in the chopping block for sure. So,
yeah, that's a good thing for us. I mean, I appreciate Pat McAfee in their show, but if the hackers could keep attacking them and not us, that would be great because they're probably one of our biggest competitors right now in sports commentary shows.
Yeah, absolutely. So anything we can use to get the upper hand. And as we've said before, we respect all that the hackers are doing, but we want to keep a respectful distance and leave ourselves out of that situation. So I'll reiterate what Big Unknown said. Thank you for going after the Pat McAfee show, not us, because I know we are probably the top two targets.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the Pat McAfee show, we'll get into this more later, but I actually had an encounter with AJ Hawk. It was kind of like a friendly encounter. We didn't, because we are competitors, and but we kept it pretty civil, and everything was all good. So yeah.
It seemed like that was a very pleasant encounter. Just a quick one, of course, because anytime two fierce competitors meet up sort of unexpectedly, stuff can go south fast. So I'm glad you guys were able to keep it civil and be respectful because he's comment on the Pat McAfee show, and he obviously knows you're the host of Chokeslam Radio. So I'm glad you guys were able to keep it short and sweet and nothing turned sour.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, we have a lot going on in the WWE world and the pro fighting world this week. But first thing I want to say is WWE, you need to get it together right now because I'm going to just go ahead and say it right now. Last night's show, Monday Night Raw, was the worst wrestling show that I've seen all year and maybe longer than that.
Yeah, I agree. Absolute junk show, I think, from start to finish. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they decided to take a week off. I don't know if they're too worried about these hackers that keep showing up, but yeah, it was a tough watch. I'm not going to lie. We almost turned it off to turn on the Home Run Derby. It was that close, but I still powered through. But it was not an easy watch for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we started out with the return of Mommy, and it's almost like the WWE production sort of thought that since Mommy was there that they don't really need to try. They can sort of, take the week off, like you said. But, Mommy wasn't actually fighting anyone, and she talked for about 10 minutes, it felt like, and didn't really have much to say. It was kind of just a bunch of filler words. Basically, she was just challenging Liv Morgan to a match at SummerSlam. We didn't need to hear her talk 15 minutes for her to say that. So I don't know why they gave her so much time for that if they weren't gonna fight. So yeah, that was just a really boring way to start off the show, and then they go from that to the next, like the first match of the show is like these two girls who I don't even know. It's like Selena Vega and like I don't even know who that other girl was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we were all like super ready for Mommy to come back. We were worried she was going to come back and cause chaos, like destroy everything. And all she's really done is like throw a vase of flowers at Dom Dom and chase Liv Morgan out of the ring a couple times, you know? So bit of a letdown there. I know she's just getting back into it. And maybe she's a little bit worried because she doesn't know where she stands with the whole Judgment Day, but you know, this isn't the same Rhea Ripley that was at WrestleMania the last time we saw her. You know, she doesn't have that same fire. Maybe she'll get it back, but I don't know. Maybe Liv Morgan's in her head a little bit. Maybe she's sad about losing Dirty Dom, but it really hasn't been the same. And I think you're right that the WWE was kind of hoping she would carry the show on Monday Night Raw, and so they didn't really schedule any good matches, and you know, didn't really happen.
Mm-hmm. And I know we've been trying, you know, I think a lot of this comes down to the management behind these shows. And I know we've been giving a lot of crap to Triple H because, you know, he's the guy at the top. He's the guy who's the easiest to critique. But I don't know if we can really keep doing that because Triple H is also in charge of these pay-per-views. Money in the Bank was super entertaining, probably the best Money in the Bank ever. And also, you know, SmackDown just this last Friday was also a great show. So what's the difference between Raw? How come Monday Night Raw, which is supposed to be the best show in WWE, Netflix just paid billions of dollars for it? How come that's a snooze fest and everything else is great? I blame Adam Pearce.
Yeah, we've talked about Adam Pearce a lot before. It seems like he's just kind of running around at this point, like making the fighters schedule their own matches. Like he doesn't really do anything. He just waits for people to come up to him and be like, "Hey, I want to fight this guy." And he's like, "Okay," you know. But if you're the manager of Raw and you're in charge of putting on a good show, you know, some weeks this is going to happen if you just rely on the fighters to schedule their own matches. Like we're really going to let Ilya Dragunov fight Sami Zayn in the main event. I can't tell you the last time Ilya Dragunov won a match, and now he's fighting for the Intercontinental Championship. That made no sense. And you know, the whole mess with Drew McIntyre week after week, it's just a junk show on Raw at this point.
Yeah, keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. Keeps trusting security to do their job when they never do. You know, Braun Breaker was obviously very upset, and Adam Pearce is like, "Oh, the security will take care of him. Hey guys, go follow him." Like, when has that ever worked? Another thing is that probably the greatest security threat of all time, Uncle Howdy, Adam Pearce is just having meetings in his office with him now. And Chad Gable wants to take care of him because they shot him in the head and murdered the entire WWE crew. So obviously he seems like the only reasonable one in the locker room. And Adam Pearce is like, oh, Uncle Howdy's fine. I just had a meeting with him. He's here tonight. And it's like, what do you mean? He's like, you're just going to let him in after he just murdered your whole staff? Like, what's going on, man? Like, something happened in that meeting that doesn't make sense. Maybe Adam Pearce has more to do with this Wyatt Six than we realize.
Yeah, it is a little bit fishy because he really hasn't addressed it. And then all of a sudden he has a meeting with the leader of the Wyatt Six and he's acting like everything's cool. You know, if someone shoots a bunch of people in the head or is trying to, at least the job of the security is to take that person out immediately, to get them out of the premises, to eliminate them. And, you know, Adam Pearce has not even done that at all week after week. He says he hires these extra security teams who do absolutely nothing, just stand there. The hackers show up. They really do whatever they want. They have, we've talked about it before, smoke machines all under the ring. They just show up at random points, ruin the match, threaten these fighters. And Adam Pearce is like, okay, it's just part of the show. Like, no, it's not. It's clearly not part of the show. And you need to do something about it. But, Yeah, I agree. At this point, it's weird saying that Chad Gable's the only one who actually has some common sense, but at least he's trying to do something about this. I'm a little worried about him, but at least he's trying to, clean his show up because he hasn't had a match in a couple weeks that hasn't been disrupted by these hackers.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Gable and Braun Breaker, they're kind of the only ones who are really questioning Adam Pearce's authority right now. And because he's such a tyrant because of this, he's really not giving them the opportunities they deserve. Well, his favorites like Ilya Dragunov are always getting all these matches when they don't really deserve them. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. And I mean, with this match with this match at the end of the night, actually not the end of the night, but right before the end of the night with Chad Gable and who was he even fighting? I don't even remember.
Chad Gable?
Yeah.
Well, he just came out to call out Uncle Howdy, and then the Creed brothers kind of kept him.
Yeah. But I do think that it's a smart move by Chad Gable to team up with the Creed brothers because, they are really good. Their move, the Brutus Ball, is one of the best in tag team wrestling right now. So it didn't work out for him with the Alpha Academy, but, at least he has more people who will join him. But anyways, I was really confused about this Bo Dallas guy. They kept talking about him like we were supposed to know who he is. I don't know. And that guy's supposed to be the Uncle Howdy, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Chad Gable said he figured it out and that it's Bo Dallas. I know Bo Dallas was in the WWE like a while ago. And so I don't know who all of his weird friends are with the furry masks and whatnot, but I guess he is the guy that's behind it all. And the Creed brothers kind of like destroyed him. So I don't really know if he's trying to be an actual fighter or if he's just trying to cause chaos or what his whole objective is here. But he did show up to like confront Chad Gable and then kind of got his ASS beat a little bit. So I'm a little confused about what his plan is still here.
Yeah, and it's a smart move once he identified this killer to, he didn't go to the cops because, what are the cops going to do against a threat like this? When there's something this bad, you got to go to the Creed brothers or someone like that. I mean, even the, I'm not going to get into other types of, law enforcement groups that really shit the bed in this past week, but even the best of the best in law enforcement, they're not getting it done. So sometimes you got to go to real American heroes like the Creed brothers to actually get the real stuff done.
Yeah, I think Chad Gable was smart. He knew who he could rely on. It was interesting, I think, that he chose to trust the Creed brothers and not the Alpha Academy. I mean, I get it a little bit because he's had a lot of beef with the Alpha Academy recently, but that just kind of shows he's basically moved on from them and now he's got his trust in the Creed brothers. And so I just wonder how Otis and friends are going to respond to this. We haven't really seen Otis in a while. He was kind of like the center of attention for a little bit. He was finally starting to stand up against Chad Gable. But ever since the hacker showed up, we really haven't seen him do anything. So I hope we see Otis again soon because he had a good storyline going. I was rooting for him. I think the whole crowd was getting behind him, and then he kind of fell off a little bit. So Adam Pearce hasn't scheduled him in a match in weeks. So I think, again, that falls on Adam Pearce for letting one of his rising stars just kind of fall through because he hasn't been really paying attention to everyone and just waits for people to come up to him.
Yeah, I think that Otis is kind of like Brandon Ayuk because, he's kind of trying to leave his team like the Alpha Academy, but he's not really, doing anything about it. He's just sitting there and complaining and not really trying to figure he's not complaining, but, he's not really trying to figure out how he can get on a new team.
Yeah.
Like he was great on the Alpha Academy, and I'm sure the Alpha Academy would love for him to stay, but for some reason he wants to leave, and if you're gonna do that, you gotta make it happen. You can't just say you don't want to be on it and then not do anything.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. If he wants to, join a new team or get out of the Alpha Academy or prove that he can go solo, you got to schedule some matches. As we've talked about, you got to take it to the man and tell Adam Pearce, hey, I want to fight someone, fight Ilya Dragunov. I bet he could schedule a match against Braun Breaker. He might get destroyed, but it seems like, if you go up to Adam Pearce and say, hey, I want to fight Braun Breaker, he'll schedule it right away. That's the kind of manager he is right now. So Otis, step it up a little bit if you want to prove yourself like Brandon Ayuk. You gotta show that you're the man.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, and I mean, at this point, if I was a guy who's trying to get a match, because Braun Breaker, they're gonna put him on TV whether or not he's in a match. That's why he's always, we see him every week, whether it's because he's trying to talk to Adam Pearce or he's just hanging out in the locker room. Like, we're going to see him. But what about these lesser known wrestlers who are trying to get in the spotlight, who are in the same situation as Braun Breaker? There could be a bunch of them, dozens, hundreds, who knows, that are never getting their opportunities because people like Ilya Dragunov are Adam Pearce's favorite guys.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will give to Ilya Dragunov, I know we kind of gave him a lot of crap, but he fights week after week, loses week after week, and still thinks he's, all that. And of course, Adam Pearce is going to keep scheduling him because, in a match against Ilya Dragunov, he can put any of his superstars. He knows they'll probably win. They're not going to get hurt. It'll be a decent match, but I think a pretty easy victory. So Ilya Dragunov's going to keep coming week after week, keep taking these losses, but at least it gives Adam Pearce a match to schedule, and he's able to schedule guys like Sami Zayn in these matches because he's not really worried about it. But the problem is, he says he's got all the security on Braun Breaker. Of course, that's not going to work. I had a feeling at the start of that match, I was like, Braun Breaker is going to show up and spear someone like this. I don't know how he just shows up and there's no security guards anywhere around him during that match. Like, what's going to happen. Everyone knew it was going to happen. So I don't know where these security guards are and who Adam Pearce is hiring. We've talked about it before, but I feel like it's just an epic fail week after week at this point on the security team.
Yeah. I have two things to say about that. One is, we were talking about how Ilya Dragunov is fighting every week. You got to start to wonder, is this guy taking drugs? We see him go out there waving his arms like crazy every time he walks in. So obviously, like, something weird is going on. We've seen him trying to eat the rope. He's like always like got his face like bright red. Like, I think he's on some sort, not necessarily performance enhancing drugs, but I think he's addicted to something like, crack or meth or something that's causing him to act like crazy like this. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not an expert on these types of drugs, but maybe we could bring in someone like, actually DRW15. I know you have some medical expertise, so maybe, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, it's a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie. I think the best expertise I can give is from walking through the streets of San Francisco. You see a lot of guys who kind of act like Ilya Dragunov a little bit. And I don't know what's in those needles or those pills that they're taking, but it's not good. So I'm a little worried about him at this point, because I agree. He definitely at times resembles some of these people I see in the streets, and they're not going down a good career path. So I'm worried about Ilya Dragunov. I hadn't thought about that a ton until you brought it up, but now that you mentioned it, I do see a lot of similarities between him and some of the folk I see walking the streets of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why you should never use those types of illegal drugs. There's plenty of legal drugs that are just as good that will help you in a match, like cordyceps, mushrooms, and Prime is another good example, and the WWE supports that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I don't think it's Prime, whatever he's taken. I think it's a lot worse than that. So it seems like he skipped right over Prime because If he had just tried out a Prime, he would have realized all the health benefits it has and maybe won a couple of matches. But I think that's what happens when you go straight to the hard stuff and you don't take care of your body and take those electrolytes. So not a good look for Ilya Dragunov, and we at Chokeslam Radio hope he gets the help that he needs.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering, do you think The Undertaker drank Prime or drinks Prime?
Yeah, I don't know if he still does because, we haven't seen him since WrestleMania. He shows up. He's got that quick burst, though. That one choke slam is all he needed to take out the quote-unquote final boss. That's one of the benefits of drinking Prime is that quick burst of energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he drank a little Prime before that match. But, on a day-to-day basis, I know he does his podcast, and I don't really know what he does outside of that. He could be doing anything, really. But, I wouldn't be shocked if he dabbles in Prime from time to time.
Yeah, I know he was wrestling a long time before. I mean, The Undertaker's been around forever, so long before Prime ever existed. But, the ingredients to Prime have always been out there. Those are natural ingredients that have been in the universe for a very long time that people from, the gold rush all the way to like medieval times to, probably the dinosaurs were even drinking these kinds of electrolytes. So these have been out in the universe probably forever. Undertaker, he always carried around what looked like everyone thought it was a urine or so maybe he had some sort of concoction in there similar to a Prime. And maybe that's what inspired Logan Paul, who was a big fan of The Undertaker.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I know that Prime has finally perfected the mix of all those ingredients to make the perfect energy drink, but I wouldn't be surprised if The Undertaker was working for years to try to, make his own perfect mix. It probably would have been a little bit different than Prime. I would have drank it for sure, but I think I wouldn't be shocked if The Undertaker had his own version of Prime in that urn for all those years because, you don't have the streak at WrestleMania for that long without drinking some sort of Prime-like drink, And I don't know how he did it. It's probably because Prime wasn't around, so he had the benefits from whatever was in that urine, and none of his competitors could drink Prime. So that's how you build a streak like that. So The Undertaker probably had the Prime before Prime, if you will, in that urine.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention that we were talking about earlier with Adam Pearce is that another weird decision by him was to bring Drew McIntyre back after he suspended him only for a week. There's a lot of great wrestlers who are doing everything great. Otis, for example, he hasn't had in a fight in a long time. And Drew McIntyre's punishment is like, oh, you destroyed the whole WWE post show in a completely unprofessional manner. Oh, well, you can't be in a match for a week. Like, are you kidding me? People like Otis deserve this more than Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre, and then the next thing he does is just bring him out on the stage and says, you have to apologize to these refs. Like, what are we, 5 years old? Like, who does this guy think he is?
I mean, Drew McIntyre does act like a 5-year-old. I'm not going to lie. Like, you bring him out 1 week after he attacks his boss for no reason on national television. Like, most guys get fired for that. He went after Adam Pearce and all these other random reporters who had nothing to do with his loss. And he had an absolute meltdown on national television. And you bring him out 1 week after, you make him say sorry. And then you're like, if you say sorry, you can have this match at SummerSlam. And he throws a temper tantrum and can't even do that. Like, who is this dude? Why are we bringing him out here? Why do we keep giving him these opportunities? He clearly can't handle it. He needs to grow up. It's ridiculous. I almost turned off Raw when he came on because I'm done with this dude, but I wanted to see what would happen. And it was honestly a laughing fest, Like, how is this dude still in the WWE? How is he still getting these opportunities? He's a little baby. And this week showed it again.
Yeah, he cashed in his money in the bank for the World Heavyweight Championship because that's what he's been going for like the past year. And just because CM Punk distracted him once, now he doesn't even care about the championship anymore. He kept saying like all this stuff, like bringing his family into it. He's like, oh, I couldn't spend all this time with my family because I was going after this championship for so long. Poor me. Now that CM Punk, he doesn't even care about the championship anymore. He just wants to fight CM Punk for nothing, like just for revenge. He said that there's nothing that he wants more in his whole life is to fight CM Punk. So, yeah, he's just being a baby. He doesn't really care about his family. Like, I don't know. This dude sucks. This is the last time I'm going to talk about him on Chokeslam Radio. And every time that WWE puts it on, I'm going to switch to AEW from now on.
Well, that's the problem is they keep giving this damn dude screen time. And then he just sits out there and whines like a little baby. And you're right. Every single week, it seems like he has a new enemy or he has something new to complain about. And apparently this CM Punk is the biggest thing he's ever cared about in his whole life. Like, who is this dude? And why is he even getting the time of day from anyone anymore? Just because he's this big Scottish dude. Like, he looks tough. Like, if I saw him walking down the street, I'd be like, oh, that's a scary dude. And then he opens his mouth and you're like, all right, I'm not scared of this dude at all. And now he's going after CM Punk, who hasn't fought in months just because he got in your way from winning the heavyweight championship. Like, he wouldn't have won it anyways. And this is just another excuse for him, another loss that he can't own up to, and he's blaming someone else. So, yeah, done with Drew McIntyre.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, there was a really, big newsworthy event that happened this weekend, and that's the Miz competing in the Edgewood golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And I actually, since this was such a big event, I went there on scene to try to interview the Miz, and we made eye contact. Well, first of all, he wasn't even supposed to be there the day I was. All of the celebrities, and I'm telling you, if you haven't heard of this Edgewood golf tournament, go ahead and look up the list of the competitors. I mean, it's the best athletes in the world. I mean, we had Jerry Rice, Alex Rodriguez, The Miz, Trevor Lawrence, all these great athletes. And basically the day that I was there was a warm-up day. So even though the whole thing is just for charity, it was a warm-up day for when they actually start doing the scoring. And every group had one celebrity with them and then 3 people who are like donors to compete with the celebrities. And for some reason, the Miz wasn't allowed to compete in this first day, the training day, probably because there were no donors who wanted to play with him. So instead, what he did was he just joined Trevor Lawrence's group. So I was there to go see Trevor Lawrence, and then all of a sudden, like, the Miz is there with him when he's not even supposed to be there. So we immediately locked eye contact, and as soon as he saw me, he was getting the hell out of there. Every other celebrity who came through took their time to take pictures with everyone. And I mean, these are not just like B-list celebrities, it was Alex Rodriguez right before him, Trevor Lawrence with him, and then Joe Flacco right after. They're all taking their time to take pictures. Miz wouldn't even acknowledge anyone just walking through. I said, hey, Miz. Got out of there as soon as possible. So I wasn't going to let him get away because I wanted to ask him if he was part of the Wyatt Six. So I kept following him. And I went, basically, I saw that he was on the last hole. So I went past that thinking ahead, went to the spot where they all exit after the last hole. And he finishes, he goes out, sees that we're all there, and he just like waves at us, turns, and then tries to go into like this tent area. And he turns away from me, he goes over and like was signing autographs for like these little kids. And I'm walking up, and as soon as I get there, he starts walking away. And then I just turn and say like, hey, Miz, can we get a picture? And he just points at me. So, he knew who I was because he was pointing at me. And we have photographic evidence of this as well. So, 1 second while I get this evidence up here. So we have the photo right here. That's me, and then Miz is here pointing at the camera because he knows it. So I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little suspicious because, we have called him out before on the podcast, A, for being a bad teammate to R-Truth, and B, possibly being involved with the Wyatt Six. And I know he's seen those clips. So, if he really has nothing to do with them, why wouldn't he do a quick picture with you or a quick chat and just clear the air instead of purposely avoiding you? He knows you're there. He knows what we've said about him on the pod, so he has every opportunity to clear his name, but instead he purposely avoids you, acknowledges you with a quick point as if to say, like, I know you're here. I know what you've been saying about me, but
yeah, he's like, couldn't get me.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a little bit suspicious. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Anyways, I believe Miz finished 37th out of the 40 competitors in the tournament, and Pat McAfee broke down one of his shots last night on Raw, which was probably the best part of the whole show, sadly. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that event.
Yeah, well, we know that The Miz has lost more WWE matches than anyone else in history. He's, throwing up junk shots at this tournament, and he's dragging R-Truth down. So we talked about it last week. It might be time for him to hang up the cleats, if you will, and call it a career. We still don't know for sure if he's a part of the Wyatt Six. Maybe he's doing that to do one final run, kind of like John Cena, but on the dark side, if you will. But it seems like this dude's losing it a little bit. Not that he ever really had it, if you will, but now he's taking down fighters like R-Truth, and he's kind of being a pain in the behind at these charity events. So it might be time for him to go.
Yeah. All right. I stumbled across this video this week, and I wanted to play it and get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
Bruh, stop fucking playing! God damn!
Yeah, I mean that's how I probably would react if the last experience I had in the WWE was getting RKO'd and barked at by Randy Orton. That's kind of what I envision happens to The Rock every night before he goes to sleep, or anytime he hears a church bell or anything like that. Ever since WrestleMania, we've talked about it. He's been in hiding because of The Undertaker. So, anytime that bell tolls, I could see The Rock reacting like that. So that's probably why he's been in the shadows. But yeah, I mean, the Viper is the legend killer, and Speed is lucky to have gotten out of there alive, honestly. He got the RKO, but he didn't get the punt to the head, and that probably would have ended his life, maybe. So, I'm not surprised, or I don't blame him that he's still having nightmares from what Randy Orton did to him.
I mean, I have nightmares about Randy Orton sometimes, and I've never even encountered him in real life before. So for I Show Speed, we hope you get through this. I'm sure he's going through. I mean, he has enough money. He's probably going through a lot of therapy about this. And for a fan to, play that video while he's sleeping, it's kind of rude.
Yeah, no, that's nightmare fuel right there. And I agree that, after The Undertaker, Randy Orton might be one of the next people that I would not want, hunting me down. So if I'm Speed, man, I'll just say Chokeslam Radio, we're praying for him. I agree with what Big Unknown said, because that's a tough life to live for sure. having the legend killer be after you. Because Speed is a legend. I'll give him that. He's been in the WWE. He's been dressed as a prime bottle. That's two things that very few people can say that they've done in their lives. So, yeah. And we know Randy Orton's drank prime before too. So that's just another reason to be terrified of that man.
Yeah. And speaking of Prime, we are still searching for the WWE Prime. So any of our viewers, if you can find some, please send it in. Or if you have some and you don't want to send it in, we don't blame you. But all we ask is for you to leave a review so we can report it on the show. We want to know everything about this WWE Prime because, Prime is already the best drink for the WWE. And now they made a specific Prime recipe for WWE wrestlers. That makes it even better. I mean, we want to try some of this and see what it's like.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that it's hard to get your hands on, because if this really is a WWE Prime, anyone who drinks it's going to have that killer instinct, and you can't have too many people walking around drinking this WWE Prime, absolutely locked in at all times. That's dangerous. It's dangerous, especially given all that's been going on recently this weekend with, The Miz causing chaos at the golf tournament. Tensions are high in this country because of that. So, we want to get our hands on that WWE Prime, but I understand why it's a hot commodity and not easy to get your hands on right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have one more video I wanted to get your thoughts on. Let me go ahead and pull that up right now.
Guys, to lead in, what are your top 5 games of all time?
Number 1, I think it's Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64.
Okay.
I think.
Do you like the ones on Switch?
I've never played them.
Really?
Yeah, I've never played anything.
I played the Switch one, but the 64 is the
64 is awesome, man. Yeah. Mario Party 2.
That's good.
On 64. I'd say Fortnite's number 3.
Big Fortnite guy.
I play Fortnite all the time. I'd say Warzone is number 4. And probably Halo 2.
Oh, Halo. Okay. That's a good one.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Not the worst takes I've heard in the world. Mario Party is a great game. I'll give him that. Super Smash Bros. A classic. And, Braun Breaker plays Fortnite. I would love to use a Braun Breaker skin in Fortnite. So I'll give him props for his top 3. I'm surprised Madden wasn't on there, but, he's probably matched up with me a couple times in Madden online and gotten his behind kicked. You can't really spear someone in Madden, unfortunately. So I think I could get the best of Braun Breaker and Madden. So that's probably why Madden didn't quite crack his top 5. But, we'd love to have Braun Breaker on here and talk about those games a little bit more. We are big fans of Mario Party for sure. We played that a lot back in the day. So yeah, I respect that top 3. I do.
I mean, there's a lot of so-called experts out there who say that video games cause violence, and I've always thought that's kind of silly, but watching this video makes me think maybe video games do cause violence, because Braun Breaker is probably maybe the most violent person in the United States, or at least in the top 5. I mean, this dude's a machine. So the fact that he's been playing a lot of video games, maybe that's leading to, why he's so violent and angry all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. Playing Mario Party, there have been times where I've gone up against Koopa Kid and wanted to smash something, wanted to spear someone. So, if that's one of your favorite games and that's what you're playing on your days off, I could see how fired up you get. You're ready to break someone at all times. So I think that's probably where the name Braun Breaker comes in. It's from playing Koopa Kid in Mario Party all these years.
Yeah, I've definitely broke my share of things playing Mario Party. And I think it's also interesting. Halo 2 was one of also Mario Party 2. So there's something to do with the number 2. Maybe he's trying to give out a code, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but I think it's kind of weird because those are both really old, like obscure games. Why would he choose 2 games with the number 2 in it?
Yeah. Like Mario Party, like there's been like 9 Mario parties, I think, or something like that. Like I don't know why specifically Mario Party 2. There's the number 2 has a lot of significance, so I don't know what exactly he's referring to. I go number 2 multiple times every day. I'm proud of that, but I don't know if that's what he's talking about, or it could be something completely different. But
yeah,
definitely some sort of meaning behind that number from Braun Breaker. There's 2 Ks in Braun Breaker too. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
KKER. Yeah. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not sure what that means,
and
but
I want to give, my respect to Xavier Woods for being in a room alone with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, probably 2 of the most dangerous men in the world. I could see why he didn't really want to sit down. He was standing up ready if he needed to get out of there at any time. But that must have been a tense situation for him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if I'm in that room, I'm definitely making sure there's probably no extra chairs laying around, because we saw what Braun Breaker did to Cale Dixon last time he got his hands on a chair, and it was ugly. So we still don't have any update on Cale Dixon yet, but if I'm in a room with Braun Breaker in a chair, I'm looking for the nearest exit and get down to there ASAP, because the last guy to see Braun Breaker with a chair might be dead, as far as we know.
Do you think any of these WWE fighters, if they ever get like a career-ending injury, could you see them becoming a video game streamer or a pro esport?
I know Drew McIntyre couldn't, because every time he loses, he would probably smash his console and then cry about, how the game is rigged, or how it's being glitchy or something like that. So he wouldn't make it very far. I would watch Jey Uso for sure if he streamed some video games. I think that he would be a guy that would be good playing some video games. I would enjoy that. And then whoever is involved in these hackers, they've shown that they can. Their movies are a little bit weird. Whatever films they give, I don't really enjoy those very much. But at least they know a lot of techie stuff, so they would have at least a cool stream. I would watch that. But if they play their weird home films that they always give to production, I don't think I would watch.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we teased a really big guest this week, but obviously he's not here. Sorry if you were looking forward to that, but he is coming next week. So all we have for now is another hint on who he's going to be. And I didn't actually come up with what the hint is.
Well, the hint, I'll give the hint. He posted a video today, actually not long ago. He said he couldn't make our podcast, but he did post a video just before we went on air. And it's about, 2 father-son relationships. And I'll give another hint. It's not Dirty Dom and Rey Mysterio, but that is another father-son relationship that we will talk to him about next week on the show. So stay tuned for
All
that.
right. Yeah, I know I'm excited for it. All right. Any last thoughts about this week's events?
No, not really. I just hope for a better week next week from WWE. I agree that SmackDown was a good show. The Bloodline is causing a lot of chaos, and it seems like they're a bit out of control. I'm just waiting for Roman to hopefully come back soon and restore some order there, because I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if Cody can handle the Bloodline as they are right now. But yeah, I just hope for a better show next week from Monday Night Raw, because we're going to have a banger next Tuesday. So we need a banger from the WWE.
Yeah, I was shocked to hear Solo say that he thinks Roman would acknowledge him as the tribal chief. I don't think that would happen, but we also haven't heard from Roman in a while. And the other thing is, yeah, Cody's not going to be able to handle the bloodline, but John Cena also said that he would be coming back soon. So I think Cody's going to need John Cena's help, just like at WrestleMania. And if that doesn't work, maybe Undertaker will have to show up again. Why these guys are helping him, not really sure why. But Cody's going to need all the help he can get. I know he's got Randy. I know he's got KO there for him, but they can only do so much.
Yeah, they've already showed that they can't really handle the bloodline after their match at Money in the Bank. I wouldn't be surprised if Cody goes after Paul Heyman. I know they haven't worked together before. I know Paul probably has some other prospects, but Paul knows the bloodline better than anyone, and we haven't seen him since the bloodline took him out a couple weeks ago. So, maybe if you're Cody, go to Paul Heyman to get some inside scoop or some advice on how to take down the bloodline, because at this point, I don't know what else he can do, because he can't handle them on his own. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, make sure to drop a subscribe or a follow or a choke slam. Make sure to like everything. I want to give a shout out to Scientific Researchers of the Unknown, as well as Paranormal Awakening.
Yeah, Paranormal Awakening. Big shout out to the folks over there. They've been very active on our X and tagging us in a lot of tweets. We respect that, and we're thankful for it, because we know that John Cena does follow Paranormal Awakening. So very active in the WWE community for sure.
Anyone else you want to shout out before we end this?
Let's see. Shout out the new NCAA football game and the DRW 15 YouTube channel. We're getting active again there. We're posting some football clips and some Chokeslam Radio clips, a mix of the two best sports in the world. Not really up for debate. We watched that stupid soccer game the other night, and as bad as Raw was, I would watch Raw 1,000 times over that silly game. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Congratulations to Messi, but this is why WWE is a much more competitive sport than FIFA, because if something like that happened to anyone in the WWE, they would pop up right away, except maybe like Ilya Dragunov, but he's on a lot of drugs, so that's fine. But yeah, Messi wouldn't last 1 single second in the ring with someone like Braun Breaker.
No. Yeah. An ankle injury is not holding Braun Breaker down. We saw Damian Priest basically break his leg a couple weeks ago, and he still finished the match and won the match. I don't think anyone who's ever played soccer in their entire life could do that. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We're going to be back next week with a banger episode. And yeah, make sure to subscribe and leave 5 stars. And may the power of the dead man be with you.
Thank you for joining us on this bone-chilling journey through the world of WWE. Join us next time on your favorite podcast app, or live Tuesday nights on YouTube, Instagram, and X. As the final bell tolls, remember to stay tuned for more spine-tingling tales from the crypt. Chokeslam that button and subscribe. Check out srotu.org, NTRW15 on YouTube, or else. Until next time, may the power of the dead man be with you. Rest in peace.